17-year-old Nealy Coleman's chest heaved and rattled when she coughed, causing the housekeeper's faded eyes to grow wide with alarm. The toddler at Nealy's feet started to cry. Nealy reached down to pick up the little girl. "Shh, don't cry, Emmy. Please don't cry," she pleaded hoarsely. The child whimpered in her mother's arms. "Let me hold her while you stick your head under that steam tent I made for you. Land's sakes, child, if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to end up in the hospital or the cemetery." The housekeeper reached for the toddler, who was barely 2 years old. "All right, Tessie, but you keep an eye out for Pa. I've still got 3 horses to groom, and you know how he is. He doesn't like it when any of us get sick and can't do our chores." Nealy gave Emmy over to the housekeeper and sat down. "If you sing to Emmy, she'll stop crying." Tessie walked around the kitchen with Emmy in her arms, crooning as she tried to calm the fretful child. "Whatever you do," Nealy added, "make sure supper isn't late. Pa will take it out on me if it is." Nealy stuck her head under the towel and struggled to take deep breaths from the bowl of steaming mentholated water. She could hear the old woman singing off-key to Emmy, something about a blackbird baked in a pie. If she wasn't so sick, she might have laughed. Moments later, Nealy heard the swinging door slam against the wall and ripped the towel away from her head. Her face dripping wet from the steam, she jerked around to face her father. In that one instant, she saw everything in the huge kitchen: the coal stove and bucket, the stew pot on the stove, the old refrigerator, the clean, crisp curtains hanging on the windows, her brothers Pine and Rye, and her hateful, angry father. So much for Tessie keeping an eye out. The sound of rain hitting the back porch beat like a drum inside her head. Chills racked her body as she struggled to her feet. Afraid of what her father might do, she started to inch closer to Tessie and her daughter when his hand snaked out and pulled her back. "What are you doing lollygagging around in here when you have horses to tend, girl?" Nealy threw her head back, lifted her chin, and met his angry gaze. "I wasn't lollygagging, Pa. I was waiting for the rain to let up." Her father snickered in disgust. "Like hell you were," he said, looking at the bowl of water. "You got a slicker, girl. Now get to it." Pine stepped forward. "I can do her chores, Pa. Nealy's sick." Without warning, Josh Coleman swung his arm backward. Pine took the blow full in the face. He reeled sideways, his hand going to his nose. Blood spurted out between his fingers. Rye handed him a dish towel. Tears filled Nealy's eyes. She staggered over to the coat rack by the kitchen door. Her hands were trembling so badly she could barely take the slicker from the peg. She turned around as she put on her slicker and looked straight at Tessie, begging her with her eyes to take care of Emmy a little while longer. The old woman nodded in understanding. Nealy cringed when she heard her father say, "Put that drooling half-wit in her bed and get our supper on the table, woman." Outside in the pouring rain, Nealy trudged to the barn. Once inside, she collapsed on a bale of hay and fought to catch her breath. She turned fear-filled eyes on the barn door and whispered, "Just this once, God, help me, please." Help arrived minutes later in the form of her brother Pine. He touched his lips to her forehead. "Jesus, God, Nealy, you're burning up. Lie down and rest, and I'll do what needs doing. Pa will never know. He went into his office with a bottle, and you know what that means." Nealy curled up in a nest of loosened hay and put a horse blanket under her head. "I don't understand you, Pine. Why do you let Pa treat you like he does? Why don't you stand up to him and show him what you're made of?" Pine looked up from cleaning April Fantasy's rear hoof. "You keep thinking I'm something I'm not. I don't have your grit, Nealy. I never have and I never will, and Pa knows it." Nealy sighed in resignation. It was sad but true. Pine had no backbone whatsoever. "He doesn't pick on Rye. Just you and me. I hate him. I hate him